very sure that you've benefited from those very valuable tips by our financial expert on how to manage our resources. And welcome to our last interview for the day. But of course, this is not the least of it, because we will be talking to a section of Nigeria that is very, very critical to her today and her tomorrow. We're talking, of course, curbing youth restiveness. And who better are we to invite other than someone within that age bracket, someone who is not just sitting and talking, but is involved in the affairs of youth development in Nigeria. Help me to welcome Right Honorable Rikki Nwajiofor. He is the President, Igbo Youth Parliament. He is also a youth advocate. He is also a youth ambassador. Everything that has to do with youth. It's good to have you once again. Thank you very much for coming this morning.
My pleasure to always be here.
Thank you very much. Very recently, August just went by. 1st of August, of course, to 10th, we had an event in Nigeria that was largely handled by young people who we'll be talking to this morning. When it was announced that there was going to be a nationwide protest against hunger, opinions were divided, but largely what everybody agreed upon was that there is justification to vent anger. But those who expressed fear say, young people of Nigeria, give them this opportunity to be on the streets, they will do A, B, C, D, that will all be in the negative. Now, having been involved in all of this, talking to the youth, engaging with the youth, engaging with government and other stakeholders, paint a picture for us of who the Nigerian youth of today is.
The truth be told, there was this the protest 1st to 10th of August.
Yes.
A Nigerian youth is that resilient being, that being full of talent, that being that you can push to the wall instead of bouncing back like other youths in other climes outside Nigeria. He or she would definitely make a hole in the wall and continue going, continue to push me. That is the resilience of a Nigerian youth. Because if what actually happens in Nigeria amongst the youth constituency happens in some part of the world, it won't be just a protest. It would have turned to riots and other things that will not be in the interest of the nation. Now, summarize the Nigerian youth. Very resilient set of people that we are. Talented, creative, not dependent on government. Because talk about unemployment, we don't have jobs. Yes, we are moving, we are doing well. So, resilient that we are. Now we talk about the event that took place.
Yes.
1st to 10th.
Were the fears justified by the outcomes?
The fact is, I'll start from the fact that my own side, the Igbo extraction.
Yes.
Aside being the Speaker in the Igbo Youth Parliament, I'm also the National Deputy Secretary General, National Youth Council of Nigeria.
Okay.
And the Chairman, FCT chapter of National Youth Alliance.
Okay.
And just to say that I'm rooted in youth activism.
I completely agree.
Now, the youth from Igbo extraction, in the Igbo youth, we didn't participate in the protest. So to say, in Southeast.
Yes.
Some participated outside Southeast.
Yes.
But majority didn't, both in Southeast and outside Southeast.
What was the reason, main reason?
Yeah, I'm coming there. I said something, I made a speech at the National Assembly 2 days before the protest, because the youth stakeholders were invited for a parley with the Speaker of the National Assembly of House of Representatives. He was there with other representatives, and the Chairman of House Committee on Youth was also there. The Chairman of House Committee on Young Parliamentarians was also there, and other parliamentarians. And when it was my turn to speak for the Southeast, I said, the truth is that we didn't participate. We are not going to participate. I was preempting. I told them, in the Igbo youth, are not going to participate in the protest. Not because we don't feel hunger
Okay.
Not because we don't feel what is happening in the country. The price of commodities are skyrocketing on daily basis.
Someone say there is no more sky, sir.
No, we feel it. It is happening with us. But our own is a protest against protest. Our own was a protest against protest. That we are not going to, I said, we are not going to participate in the protest because we want other regions to feel what we've been feeling from day one. That Southeast feel that we've been over-marginalized. That there are so many developmental projects going on in the country that you can't find in the Southeast. There are so many youth empowerment projects going on in the country that you can't find in the Southeast. There are so many creative summits and engagements going on in the country that you can't find in the Southeast. Yet you see us, we thrive. We are happy, jolly good fellows. We continue. We are not dependent on anything. We don't depend on government. Now, when the protest came up, we said, the protest is right. Nigerian youths have every right to protest. But then, we tell other youth from the other region, please, we're not going to join you. We're not condemning your protest. But we're not going to join you. Because we've been shouting that we've been over-marginalized and nobody came to our rescue. Now, you are feeling part of a tip of an iceberg of what we've been feeling. Please, go and protest. We are not condemning you, but we won't join you. Now, whether the protest is right or not, I've just said it. Yes. The fears, yes, correct. The truth be told, I said it at the National Assembly, and I will say it categorically again. I said, the amount of money that circulated few days prior to protest, if that amount of money, just to quench the protest, to make sure that the protest didn't hold, if that amount of money was proactively used to empower Nigerian youth, over 1,000 Nigerian youths would have been made millionaires constructively, proactively, and they will be employers of labor. Hundreds of millions flying around just to ensure that please don't go to protest, don't go. It was out of the fear that we talked about, the fear that it might be hijacked. The fear is clear. I understand on the part of the government and on the part of the security agencies about the fear. The truth is that you can't negate the fact that we have enemies of Nigeria.
Definitely.
There are some people who are not happy that Nigeria is progressing. Though we are not progressing in the way we want. But in the sense of the progress I'm talking about is that we've had we are still having and we've had uninterrupted years of democracy. Some people projected that democracy will be truncated in Nigeria. And we are still moving. We are not ready to go to war. We are not ready to truncate this democracy. We will continue in this democracy. That's the progress I'm talking about. Developmentally, no. We are not where we're supposed to be. The present government is trying to do its best, yes. But some policies are not well with the people. Now, those enemies of Nigeria who would have hijacked the protest and caused mayhem. I will always tell people, no matter what, dialogue, coming around the table to vent your anger is always the best. I've been in so many parts of the country, especially African countries. South Sudan is not a place to behold. One of the smallest and a very rich country that was blessed, that is blessed by God. That out of greed of human beings and power tussle and other things and enemies within and outside of that country, the country is nothing to behold about today. Such enemies might have infiltrated if security agencies didn't rise up on their toes to ensure that this protest didn't go out of hand. So the fear was justified. And I will tell you categorically, if they had gone out of hand a little bit like NSAS, you won't be here interviewing me today.
Probably if it has gotten the buy-in of a larger population of Nigerian youth, probably you've added your own might to it from the southeast, we wouldn't be where we are today. I can guarantee that as well.
Exactly. If it had gathered and then if they didn't do that protest against protest, financially and otherwise. Because that financial inducement will still protest against protest. Yeah.
You say something that is very remarkable, and I've listened to a few very good leaders with emphasis in Nigeria, who have also commended the resilience of Nigerian youth. But, Right Honorable Sir, is this resilience elastic? Will it get to a point that it will have stretched to its limit? And what should be the remedy now by those who are supposed to take action?
Now, when I describe Nigerian youth as a set of people very resilient that you can push to the wall,
yes,
instead of bouncing back, they break the wall and continue. Time comes when they will meet a wall that is not breakable. Let the leaders know that resilience doesn't last forever. There will be a point where it gets to everybody's neck. What happens in house A will be happening in house B, and house C will be crying the same thing. That resilience will die.
Definitely.
And if it dies, they said, be wary of the anger of a patient dog. Be wary. It is a very serious statement. The anger of a patient dog, it's so terrible. Because that dog that used to bark, don't mind. But that patient dog, the day it wakes up and gets up in fury, be wary. It can bite the owner and kill the owner. So that resilience will not last forever. Let them not take it for granted. Let the leaders not take it for granted. There is need. There is this mutual mistrust between the youth constituency and the government.
True.
The truth is that an average Nigerian youth doesn't believe the government.
So what steps, because we are running out of time, what are the steps, practical steps that government and other stakeholders?
The step is that, one, then there should be a dialogue.
Okay.
Constant, not just one-off dialogue. Regional town hall meetings, state town hall meetings, local government town hall meetings. There is a youth dialogue coming up. We call it National Youth Dialogue.
Okay.
It was launched yesterday. The press briefing, it was unveiled yesterday. Okay. It's coming up. It's been organized by the, I think, Forum of SSAs on Youth to all the state governors. They're coming up with all the youth stakeholders, and in collaboration with the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Igbo Youth Parliament, Arewa Youth Constituency, all of that youth bodies. They want to galvanize and have interaction with the government. The essence is to bridge that gap between the government and the Nigerian youth because of that mutual mistrust that I talk about. Now government needs to get youth closer to the youth, empower them. I will always say, any nation that fails to empower her youth and engage her youth meaningfully is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. The day it will burst, everybody will be on the run. Engage your youth, bring them close, let them feel you, explain to them. There are things government does that even the youth will begin to say, why are you doing this? And nobody explains. They feel that pain and anger. I feel it too. That you owe me that responsibility to explain to me why you do ABC. I elected you. We voted you in. Even if I failed to vote you in, the majority voted you. You are there because people voted you in.
No, that's not even the basis. Anybody elected, whether you elect the person or not, is your servant.
That's what I'm saying. People voted you. Even if I didn't vote you, or even if I voted you, majority voted you. That's why you are there. You are the servant. You owe us the responsibility to explain A to Z why I do this, why we should do this, and you mustn't take that decision immediately. There should be that explanation. So if you don't explain to the youth why you do A to Z, that has to do also with the youth. This is our country. The resources belong to us. Most of the leaders have used their own time. This is our time you are consuming. In fact, they have consumed our time and are consuming the time of our children.
Honestly.
So when they are doing that and they're using our resources, our own resources, the resources they are using now is not theirs. It's the resources of the Nigerian youth. It's our time. And even the resources of our children. I learned that the last administration sold crude oil in advance.
Of course.
How can that happen? How? And in a safe society, and the last administration, they're all walking freely on the street and nobody's arresting any person.
Well, it happens. What can happen elsewhere can happen in Nigeria.
So now tell me, if you don't explain to the youth why you do ABC, they will feel angered. And not anger, like I said, be wary of the anger of a patient dog. When the resilience stops and it breaks, it's not elastic. It can break. and when it breaks, everybody will be on the run. Right. Now, engage the youth, empower the youth. I've made a quote. Any nation who fails to empower our youth and engage them meaningfully is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Yes. Empower the youth. It's not empowerment of maybe we'll have Nigerian Youth Investment Fund. Yeah. Theoretically, not at all. How has it affected the life of a youth at the grassroots? The youth in my town, Inyi, is that youth aware of this? The youth in Zamfara, inside the Zamfara.
And that's the question I would like to ask, because even though we are out of time, when we talk about youth engagement, you, for example, you are into youth activism. You interface with government every now and then. You interface with other stakeholders. What happened to that brother of yours in your
in my town?
Who does not even know the name that your association goes by.
It doesn't. And he's also a youth. And now when we tell government, the fact is that most times government doesn't listen. And when it happens like this, when the protest came, they started calling all of us, no, ensure that this doesn't happen. But when we give proactive advice that we will change something that will happen, some people have started gathering around for 1st October protest. Believe me, the government will not do anything now. They will think it's a joke. Until middle of September or even towards the end of September, the war is gathering momentum, they begin to call. Why don't you use that money you may share that time to empower the youth now? Go to the youth at the grassroots and engage ethnic youth leaders who are from localities. Engage them, bring them close. They know those ones, because some youths go into crime because they feel marginalized. True. The issue of IPOB and Bero, how did it come about? Feeling of marginalization. So some people hijacked it and did overboard. But then it is the feeling of marginalization. The youth go into crime because when they feel that you are using my money, my resources to fly private jets, to do the resource belongs to. I always suggest, I've said, I don't know why government will give individuals oil blocks and they are flying around that. Why don't you manage those oil blocks by the government?
In trust for Nigerian people.
For the Nigerian people, we elected you. These are our resources. Manage it. Don't give it to private individuals, and they're misusing it. Use it, and you're saying we are owing debts here and there, and you have oil blocks you're sharing to individuals. How does it sound?
Well, all right, Honorable Rikki, it's always a pleasure having this conversation with you, but this wouldn't be the end of it. This conversation will certainly continue.
We'll keep talking.
I am very happy that you believe in the power of dialogue as against, big violence.
No, I believe purely power of dialogue.
And
but the problem is, the person you want to dialogue with, is he ready? Is government ready to dialogue with the youth and come close?
I want to believe now the message is clearer, is getting clearer, and the method of engagement will change. Instead of having to wait until the threat is real and then overnight you start gathering and doling out money. Because you are not the only person who have said this. We've had other guests who have also come to confirm that, of course, they were approached and monies were given, in the twilight of that August 1st protest. But be that as it may, like I said, this conversation will continue. We've already spent our time very, very well this morning. I have been uplifted by your passion, and I hope to see you again very, very soon.
It's my pleasure.
I have been talking with Right Honorable, because this time, when someone attains the level of a speaker, they say a first timer in an assembly does not become speaker. So for him to be the speaker of Igbo Youth Parliament, he has earned the right to be called Right Honorable. And so thank you very much for making it to the studio again, Right Honorable Rikki Nwajiofor. He is a youth advocate, he's a youth ambassador, and he's everything that has to do with positive vibes from the youth constituency in Nigeria. Thank you once again for coming to the studio.
It's my pleasure. Nigeria will be great.
Nigeria will be great. I share in that grace, and it's on this note, very positive note, that we will have to draw the curtains on today's edition of ASU Morning. Thank you sincerely for investing your time with us on this edition, hoping that you will again be our guest tomorrow when the ladies take the center stage for ASU Morning Friday edition. My name is Usman Katun Umar, urging you to continue to be peaceful, continue to choose dialogue, always continue to be a very good human being to yourself, to your family, and your community, and Nigeria at large. We'll see you again when we return. Thank you very much. Bye for now.